saw New York shut down everything except for what has to be open.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Until I hear that we are not going to work, then I will not believe it. Okay, so there's 2 jobs we gotta do. One of them is that's not what I picked. Okay, I picked wall mounts and a 4050. It's now 3107 instead of 4050. That's not right. And I picked a 4020. This is a curtain. 4020. It's our most standard curtain. It's all that it is. It's a 4020. So we're gonna roll with this one. Okay, so everything that you guys already have done is what we're going to go ahead and start with. Okay, well, first thing that I do is I go to the P drive. I'm going to go ahead and jump to my location of folder. I'm going to look through my drawings. I have multiple of them, unfortunately, so I'm going to combine them together, label them as underscore, holy wow, as underscore combined, because an underscore becomes in front of all letters in the alphabet, so that'll shove it to the top. Anytime anybody goes in there, we'll see it right away. And staple that together. I'm going to go ahead and create myself a folder with 305963, which it already exists. So I'm going to delete this new folder that I made. Oh yeah, I made this for myself earlier. That was it. Voila, it's empty. Okay, so I know that it's just a curtain, so I'm going to end up having a building. And I'm going to end up having a curtain folder. Because of that, I need to design assist a 1 curtain building over. Copy, 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 and then change names so that I have SO number in front. Recent items, 963, that was 1. I'm going to do this for all 3 of them. Save that. So middle folders where I'm going. 963 is on top. This is mine. Make sure all of them are turned off to be read only. Selecting all of them to open up. We're going to go ahead and look through this. These are all irrelevant drawings to me, so I'm taking them out. I found my gymnasium, and I have some dimensions. I know it's 3 feet off the wall, which is going to be good because I can make my room size the size of my curtain plus the 3 feet on each side, which is 6 feet. My curtain is 40 feet long. This one says it's 35, not even feet long, so now I've got to actually measure it and then actually look in the folder and figure out if what they're saying is true or not. My biggest dimension sucks, but it's only 5'4".
Oh wow.
I'm going to store that scale in the page. I'm going to measure the size of my gym. I'm going to measure the size of my curtain, see if I can get some things together. 34'8" is what this is telling me. Just make sure that's 3 feet. It matches up. That's good.
Are you gonna need a dual motor on that curtain?
Yes, all curtains except for walk draws up motors, which is
Okay.
13.
Okay.
And I don't need to teach you guys a sheet, but that's our right there. That's our sheet about curtains. So it's gonna tell you like the max spacing you can have for your carriers, a bunch of different information
Safety
like that.
stops and all that.
This is our field check one that they gave me, where we're so fortunate to have this little napkin sketch of them marking things out. Pretty cool. They say it's a 34-foot curtain. On mine, I got a 34'8" curtain. My sales order says it's a 40-foot curtain, and my quote says that it's a 34.67-foot curtain. What did I keep saying that? What was that? 34'8"?
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is what I got. So this will be interesting. We're gonna go into the takeoff now and see. And it looks like whoever the PM is for this put the takeoff of 2 different gyms because it's called Cedar Creek and this is Oak Grove, and my job is Oak Grove. So maybe they're the same, I don't know. This is telling me that my curtain is 34 feet 8 inches. So right now I have 3 places that's telling me it's 34 feet 8. So as of right now I'm looking like I'm either A, gonna ask, or B, run a 34 foot 8. I'm gonna check my quote real quick and see what's going on in here. See if they have an email about it. And all they did was say, here's the stuff that they sent me, all the files and whatnot. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to the quote and check the internal docs and see what Larry did, because Larry would have quoted something in particularly, and that's probably, if they're not going to tell us what it is, a good thing to go off of. He says it's 34'8". I can go to my curtain spot, and here it tells me it's 34'8". When I look at this, which you should print out if you're not familiar with it, is I've got a bunch of unistrut and some beam clamps. So basically what this is telling me is I'm going to be using unistrut and beam clamps to jump down on or latch down on a truss for this curtain. And you'll see what that's going to be like in a second. So I'm going to be running with 34'8". So for this, I know that my curtain is 34'8", and I know that I have 3 feet on each side, which is going to give me an extra 6 feet for my room size.
Oh, okay.
So I got that, and then I have an elevation, hopefully, here. So I have trusses, and because I can see 2 trusses on top of each other kind of thing is going on, my assumption is that I have sloping trusses. I'm seeing one side of it and the other side of it at the same time. And here you go. Here's my truss. Kind of looks like it's sloping. I'm gonna run with 9'6" plus 5'6" because math. So it's 15 feet and a half inch, right? 0.5. Is that right? Because the 6 are gonna add together. Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah.
And just to make sure I did that right, I got 15 feet, so it's not gonna go down to half inches. Should be a precision thing somewhere. Let's look at that. We've got our truss tails. I've got 1'10", and I've got 16-foot truss on this side, so I've got a small curtain already. And I've got 16 feet on this side, which means it is flat. Just the top quarter is slope maybe, or maybe I'm just sideways. 1'8" and 1'10" are my truss tails. So because I know that I'm 3 feet off of both ends of the wall, that I know that 1'9" is gonna be less than 3, so I'm gonna be on the truss no matter what. So instead of doing 1'10" and 1'8", I'm gonna make them both 1'9", so it's symmetrical. Come on, right truss in. And the reason I'm making these the exact same is because I want whoever comes in and edits it, if it's wrong, to be able to just do one, and it's all good to go. So
Oh, okay. That's the reason why you put left height. Yeah, I gotcha.
So they're connected, so they don't have to change one when they get to it.
Yep.
So I'm gonna go ahead and auto resize this so I can adjust this monstrous plane here. And that is good now. And this I said it was 34'8" plus the 6 feet. And this height is 16 feet 0 inches plus the 42 inches. The 42 is from the height of the truss by default.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna make this 5 feet, unless it's spanning, which I need like an overhead view. That's a different gym, I think. That says gym 134, and this is gym 119, so that's a different gym. So these drawings are worthless for me right now. We're gonna look to see if we have a curtain, otherwise we're gonna try to figure out if they quoted it as direct or spanning bays, because I can see the bays that I've got. Not seeing it. So these 2 pages both provide me no information at all, so I'm gonna get them out of there. This gives me an overhead view. That's my elevations. This looks like it does nothing. Yeah, so this sheet's worthless for me, so I'm gonna get that out of there. That's an elevation sheet, which is almost identical to this one. That's an overhead view.
Is that another one that
The same thing as
did?
this, pretty much.
But I wrote the...
So,
That's funny. You're doing a lot
I'm
of
gonna
jobs.
assume, based off of
I'm doing
this
nothing,
here,
but you're getting shit done.
that this goes just about right in line with those, which is the center of the gym, is my guess here. I'm measuring 60'5" with a rough estimate and 29'7",
It's close.
which is very close, so it's slightly offset.
Mm-hmm.
So when I look at this unit, I want to make sure that, where's my north arrow? Here. North is to the left. So I'm looking at west and east for my units. So east would be to the top when I look at this, which is right here. So this is telling me that my truss is perpendicular, which is not true. Oh yeah, it is. We got units on both sides. That sucks. I was really hoping that wasn't the case. It's gonna suck. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and make this extrusion 10 feet instead so I can get some more space in here. Which means my truss is actually gonna be the size of my building then. Instead. Because it's perpendicular. So I need to make this, I'm only gonna show 10 feet. And then I will make my tails instead to the wall so it doesn't look goofy. Basically the representation of what I'm doing is not for the entire gym, it's just for that one little slot.
Okay.
So, I'm constraining this, I'm constraining that,
I got a suggestion.
What that does is allow me to move this now, other than it's attached to the floor. So now I need to figure out my truss spacing based off of this.
30 degrees is the limit we had to go beyond.
So north.
That job.
Am I dumb?
Not knowing the consequences of
No,
what
I'm good.
was beyond 30.
You already know which one.
Yeah. So I'm gonna make the edge of this, by edge I mean flat surface,
I remember that.
in line with this. My trusses are running this direction. Calculate. I tried to
Like,
get
this is
one.
better.
Sure it's the same one. So I don't have an overhead view, so I'm stuck with measuring my trusses on this side.
What can you do, Johnny? You put
So I'm gonna take the center to the wall, and then these are all gonna be the same distance, whether I measure from side to side or center to center, as long as I'm measuring from the same side. So I can be consistent with this. Seems like it's all 4/6, and I say that, and obviously it's not.
I see no problem.
So I just need to find. No, I don't need to find where they all line up. These are I'm gonna use all these trusses, unfortunately. So this is from the south wall, which means we're looking that direction. So I'm measuring this backwards. So this will be 8 inches negative. I'm gonna go ahead and pattern this over the most that I can here, which will be 3 feet 11, and I've got 2 trusses, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you guys have done all this stuff just in a different format, right? You've built a building, you know what's going on.
Yep.
We're all good here, having fun. Okay, and then this next one is where they switch from 3 feet 11 inches to 4 foot 6 inches. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 of them until my last one comes up, and it should, if I did this math right, be about 2 foot 6. So measure that. I get 2 foot 5. Sweet. Okay. I'm gonna do this so it's set up for production jobs. Alright, so my trusses are good, my walls are good, and now my building is good. There's nothing else that's in the way, no HVAC, no lights, no nothing, it's ready to go. So I'm gonna start my overall assembly, which you guys have done before. These are 5796. So I'm gonna go in my main folder, I'm gonna place my building in.
How many units you have? 6?
That's not right. I didn't even do the right one. Mother.
Hope you can see that after it covered good.
I just say this
Or
into a
just cut
production
it.
folder.
Put the
I don't have
sauce
any
on
units.
it, cut it wonky.
Okay, so this will be saved as, and we can't because it doesn't exist anymore. What happens is I saved it to the wrong spot and I deleted it, and I still have the file open, which should be impossible, but it let me for some reason. So I need to go to the CL folder and save it overall here, and then I'm gonna go ahead and place in my correct building.
I was right here. I was
963 building place.
Okay, we'll try to do better.
Scroll in, make sure it fits up the majority of my screen, and make sure my home button is routed to this spot every time. Now, for the part that you guys haven't seen, curtains. It is in Inventor Templates. Curtain batting cage templates. I'm looking for a 4020, which is labeled as a fold-up FU. So I get the fold-up base. And I right-click and Design Assist. This is the easiest one to do for design assisting and just doing in general. So once it loads, just like you did everything else so far, you're building that kind of thing. Anything that has an SO or XXXXX that you can replace with an SO number, you're going to copy and rename that file. So if I look to my left here, I have SO dot or dash FU. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to scroll through these options. I see SO 4020. I can scroll through all these options, and I'll let you know ahead of time if none of them have it. Now if I look where the name is, I can also look for these. Some people, sometimes they're labeled on the left side and the right, and sometimes they're one side or the other. This one also has SO, so in case I missed it, it wouldn't be highlighted. The highlighted ones means I touched them. So, I'm going to go ahead and copy that SO number out to be my own, and place it into my curtain folder. I'll grab both the parts that I need. I will save it, and where my folder is, we'll have the curtain there once it saves.
No, the corner.
Here's a couple.
Oops.
Here's a build check.
Done. There's your curtain. This is like your building. It's gonna be read only. So make sure you turn the read only off.
Is it good?
We are moving extra slow.
Is that the only me?
So you're gonna handle this similar to your basketball, and that's gonna be, it's all parameter driven. So when I open my parameters up on this, I've got basically my curtain fabric and my main assembly is what's going on here. I'll show you. So this is the main assembly. This is everything that's going on. You see all the pipes and carriers in there and whatnot.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Although our carriers are disappeared, our template's broken. Somebody broke our template.
It's on your board.
It's nowhere because I've got this
Figure it out.
unresolved thing here.
Now,
That's
would it be
exciting.
Canadian, then they would also
Let me go find out if it's actually broken. Maybe that's why it's taking so long to load.
Damn it.
Oh no.
Everyone's gonna be thrilled about that one. It could just be like it loaded in incorrectly, but yeah. Hey Jeff, our 4020 curtain is broken.
What?
The carriers are not there.
Really?
Yeah, they're unresolved. So I don't know who's been doing a curtain lately, but so anyway,
That's why we save as our own, new guys.
they have never touched a curtain. So
That's why we save
oh,
everything
they're
as
just
our own.
talking in general. Got it.
Yes, he wasn't blaming.
yeah, I thought you were. I was like, they haven't done anything. So this is the top half. Imagine that top half with the bottom half, and there's going to be, it's called, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a double. It's got two of them. You're going to have single carriers spread throughout though. So the ends are going to be double. So imagine it's in the bottom, and then the bottom will be here on that single carrier, and here on that single carrier, and here. And basically what it is these are going to be equally spaced throughout, and there's a rule set up there, which we'll create for you guys. We'll get you another separate copy. And they, for a 4020, basically what it says is the first carrier can be no more than 30 inches. And what that means is from the end of your fabric to the portion of where your carrier center line is, you cannot have more than 30 inches away. Okay? By default, it's 18, so you're good by right off the bat. And when you adjust your carrier spacing, that one will never change. You have to actually physically change that one if you ever want it to be not 18, which there will be circumstances where that can happen. The next thing it says is 9-foot carrier spacing, no more than 10. So your goal is to be around 9 feet, but you never want more than 10. By default, it's set up at the max, which is 10. This is a parameter as well. It says, what do we got? So the carrier spacing is based off your spool spacing, and the quantity of spools is going to also adjust your carriers. So right now, my curtain's way bigger than I actually have. So if I shrink this down, you'll see we don't need as many as we have. Your goal is also to make these carriers that you've got between your hoist. And those two, from one to another, cannot be 10. You cannot have the hoist as its own structural support. Even though it's going to attach to something, it's not going to work that way.
Okay.
So,
Hard, whatever that was.
this didn't even say, oh, that's not the right thing. That's why. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and plug in my curtain length, which you said was 30 something foot 8 or something. 34 foot 8. Yeah, okay. 34 foot 8 is going to be my curtain length. And then in my fabric, which is the other thing that opened up, which just has none of the hardware on it, I'm going to also make my curtain length 34 foot 8. So now when I go back to my other assembly, they will match up. Whoop. So it's smaller. I'm going to update it. And voila, it's all there. Except for these are all busted because this is broken. I wonder if it just, somebody didn't do this right.
You're gonna need some more hand sanitizer soon, bud.
Maybe this will work.
The funny thing is that was.
Maybe it's just a component pattern that's broken that somebody used.
All of a sudden.
Don't look at me, I don't like hand sanitizer, I only use it if I have to.
Yeah. Except for this is broken too.
I've seen Sears use it a lot.
Sorry, I'm trying to figure out where this went wrong.
You smell now.
And you can't edit that, okay? Get out of that in case someone's editing it.
What?
Nothing.
So right now I have these carriers,
You make fun of me?
and I think what needs to happen,
Not you. Definitely not you.
That would be just as bad though.
is going to be the value that is here, which is spool spacing. I believe is what needs to be. I have nothing to grab.
That's my new pile when you guys bring them over.
You need to sign. That's crazy.
Alright, well, I'm not going to end up being able to do this at all anyway, so. Anyway, these carriers, what I'm going to end up having to do is, the carriers and the spools are tied together. So you can see this carrier here, top half of it at least, and these are the spools. Those spools are going to go through these grommet lines all the way down to the bottom. And then the way this thing's going to fold is it's going to be folding up. That's why it's called a fold up. Other ones roll up, other ones do other things. But this is a fold up curtain, so it folds up. That's how it works. We're going to end up putting this quantity of spools to 6, which means our spool count here should be 6. And that spread out my grommet lines, which means that in turn I also have less spools and less carriers now.
You get that 6 from your print.
Yes, both of them. I made sure that they both matched up on each side because the fabric controls these grommet lines, and the overall assembly controls the carriers and spools themselves here.
Gotcha.
This is a lock. You will always delete this unless they say that they have one in the sales order. Mine does not. And then there's pipes in here. I just turned my fabric invisible that are needing to be adjusted. You can see it's kind of purple and green at the same time. It's because the pipe is inside of itself.
Pretty good for only like $2 or whatever.
So, what's going on is that I end up needing to delete these patterns because my curtain's so short. And what I can do is there's these planes here, of course planes, and I can find the end of my pipe with the most recent, recent plane.
Do you want some more of it?
And I measured it out, I got -2. So what's going on now is that I have my green pipe right here, which is my crimp sleeve with rivets pipe, and I have another one over here. And they're just in there so that you can be resizing these. So this green pipe and this splice is what brings them together here. Crimp pipe. Those are patterned, and you can just edit that as you need. And then you have your pink pipe, that's the one that you're going to resize. So your pattern is going to stay the size it's at, and you're going to have 1 of them, or 2 of them, or 3 of them, and then that pink pipe you'll just customize as needed. And the same thing's going to happen with my top batten right now. So my top batten is, I can find where my green pipe ends, which is here, because this is my splice that I can see here. And this is the plane that I need. So I have a center line for my splice, and I have a plane where my pink pipe needs to measure to. So if I click my pink pipe, I can see that it's over here. So I can go ahead and grab the edge of it and grab that plane and know that I need to subtract 26 inches off of this pipe. And if I do that now, I just subtracted 62. It'll line right up. So now I have my green pipe, my splice, and my pink pipe, and they all match the planes perfectly. So I can turn my fabric back on. These are all busted. Templates are cool. The same thing is going with my dry pipe right now. So my dry pipe is also having a what's the word, pattern to it that I'm not needing. Okay, I need that though. That's an individual pipe now. And that's, yeah, okay. So these pipes are too long because my curtain is so short. So I'm going to go ahead and make them extra short. They come in sticks. 2 3/8. If I reference my sheet, 2 3/8 is going to 25 feet, which means 12.5 feet is the goal here, which is going to be 150 inches. So I can make these 150 inches, so let's give it a shot. I don't know where these are going to land now because my opponent's pattern is broken, but we just basically need to make sure that if it wasn't broken, that you don't have these inside of a spool, which you won't because they're constrained to not be, but that a spool and a carrier doesn't sit on top of a splice. So because I don't know where this is going, I don't know if it's over here or if it is in the way, I'm not sure. I'm just going to do this for now. This pipe is inside of the spool, so I can't really see it, so I'm just going to add a random number to it so I can grab the edge and figure out where it needs to go. You add another 6 inches, and now that sits on that plane. I should have done the change all at once button, and I forgot, so I need to add 12 to this one. Now those are good. So basically, the only thing that I need to adjust left on the skirt right now is the fact that the height isn't set, but the way that I'm going to end up setting the height is through the parameters of that fabric, but I need to place this in here. this center line, and we know that it is 3 feet away. So, I have 3 feet from each side, like my drawings told me it was.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see this is going way, way, way up through my trusses. That's not how things work. So, I have this parameter called add sub curt height. Add or subtract to curtain height. So by default, that's what it is. That's what 0 is. So if I want to make it bigger, I'd add more. If I want to take off, I will take off 6 feet, for instance, and see what that turns out to be. So I'll go and update it here, drops my pipes lower. I'll update it here, drops my pipes and everything lower, and it's still way too tall. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract 12 feet, see what happens. I'm going to go ahead and drop my pipes down, go back in, drop my stuff down. That's way too much. But what I can do here is I can start attaching things, and I can actually get a direct measurement. So our current attachments are in, make sure I do that right. Yeah, there's a few ways to get there. Inventor templates is one way, and I think curtain shortcuts is another way. Either way, there's going to be a folder called all curtain stuff that you're going to get to. The majority of our attachments for curtains are going to be in a 4020 to 4030 carrier and hoist attachments folder. Almost everything will be in here. Highly, highly suggest that you turn on
Large
images.
like that.
And I'll be looking for a hoist attachment, and it is labeled as SO-double because all hoist attachments will be double unistrut, and hoist because it's a hoist, and I will select the one that says not parallel trusses because it's not parallel. I'm looking for the one that is perpendicular. Double hoist parallel. So I need double hoist perp truss. So I have perpendicular trusses. So single unistrut will have one layer of this. Basically, you see how there's this little U shape?
Mm-hmm.
That's unistrut. This is double because it's got one on the other side as well. Single unistrut will typically just have no top piece, just the bottom. Which you'll see when we get to the carriers, but we can't attach them, so we can't actually finish this job today. Unless somebody fixes the templates. So I will save these attachments in my folder, in the curtain folder. Now I need to get them customized to actually fit on top of my hoist. Since I have a single curtain and that's all there is in this job, I'm just going to attach my stuff within the assembly itself. This attachment, yeah. So you'll use an insert constraint, and you'll grab this lip right here, and that's because that sits inside on this.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll try to see if I can pull this out. Yeah. So you can see how all of these will sit in their four respective holes.
Right.
And this part here will sit flush on that part there. You can see here to here. Basically is what's going to go on here. So if I insert on that axis, or that edge, it'll, voila. So I'm going to go ahead and look for this axis constraint and put those two together. Now what I need to do is I can measure, since this part is going to end up sitting on top of my truss, I can measure how far off I am. The answer is 41.502. So if I add plus 41.502, I can see here in the nominal value what my actual value is. So people don't have to sit there and just look at all these math chains. So that should be good. Save that, open it up, and I am directly on my truss now. And it lines up almost perfectly. So there's a center line of my truss and a center line of my attachment. It is 3/8 off. So here, if the parameters are working correctly, which who knows if they are, this is set up for an 8-inch flange, and this center line here adjusts for any distance that it's off. I'll do something obnoxious, see if it's actually working. 6 inches. So now you can see that this is where it attaches to my hoist, and it's 6 inches off center right now. So for me, I'm going to end up having 3/8, and then I'll go and look at my assembly and see if it's going the right direction or not. So now I know it's going the wrong direction, because instead of 3/8, I'm now 3/4 off. 6/8 is 3/4. Voila, we're going to go ahead and put a negative sign in front of it then, save it, open up our assembly, and now our lines are straight. Everything is good to go. You can see I'm directly on this truss. Everyone's happy. And I'm going to go ahead and save this other piece so you guys can see it, but it'll attach through 2 sticks of threaded rod, basically, is the way that it'll work. And that will be, I'll probably have to span some, or like a singular attachment, but it'll be this right here. Once I actually have a fixed template where I can do this. This will be 596.3 in the folder 305963. What's gonna happen is those carriers, like you saw here,
Mm-hmm.
this right here, it'll end up all attached to thread rod with an access through this bolt and or nut, and same thing here, and then it'll be adjusted to be the correct height here. More than likely, what it'll do is constrain this to be the same level as my hoist, because they're both on the truss, and I know my hoist is already there. And so yeah, I'll just grab on the truss like that, and then I would pattern it over through all these carriers. If the carriers were set right, make sure that it attaches to all of my trusses. So in this instance, I would either have to span these trusses with a stick of threaded rod and clamps to grab on, or I would use a singular one and put them under trusses directly. But we can't actually do this job because our template's broken. So 4020s are currently not gonna have it. So I'm gonna go close out of this and the job's done. Voila, we just did a half-day job in how long's the video?
30 minutes.
There you go.
New record.
That's it.
That's the job.